Okay, so let's wire up our pots now. Uh, every system comes with instructions. Now with the instructions, you'll see we have, uh, it tells you about the pickup cross-reference for the wire. We talk about what our wire colors are in a schematic. Like I said, we follow Seymour Duncan because they're probably the most, uh, more people probably use those than any other pickup. Um, Say what the system is, talk about our go to 11 pots. We show our capacitors and our push-pull pots, our output jack. This is a volume map, volume pot map. We also have one if it was our killer tone pots, you would also see that there. It tells you what each terminal is. A dead terminal tells you the 500K on is would be the left lug of the pot, and 250K left lug, and then the middle lugs. The far right lugs of the pot are connected to ground and attached to the pot itself. So it's set up as a volume pot. And then some of the pots you can wire together, or some of the systems you can wire this together for 750K, where you place a jumper between the center 250K and the center 500K lug, and then you go in the 500 and come out 500 left and come out the 250K left. And it gives you a 750K. Now it is a quicker roll off on a 750K, just so you know, by wiring the pots in series that way on our dual volume pots, or dual value pots, which is 500K and then 250K, as you can see there. And this is proprietary to us. CTS makes these for us, and I think it's the best sounding pot in the world. Solid brass bushing, brass knurled end. We'll get into more of that later. So anyways, one other thing about the instructions, the other side. Please take the time to read through everything we have here, as far as, you know, the difference between metric and SAE, knobs. Keep them, you know, it's just kind of like putting a metric nut onto an American standard type bolt. It's just not going to work. And it's the same thing with knobs. You just have to be careful. And I'll go over that more when we get ready to put our knobs on, because here we're dealing with two different sizes here with our 24 tooth. This is what we wanted because it's more like the original CTS pots, and then the 18 tooth, which is more of the metric size, so which is a smaller diameter, and different types of knobs will not fit on each one. So we'll go over that more here in a little bit though. But we do warn of that, and so you definitely don't want to push on a tight knob. When mounting selector switches, we tell you we want the metal side down, and that way you'll have the right orientation from first position to fifth position or third position, depending on what type of switch you have. Then we just have some basic instructions on what to do. And we're going to go over that right now a little bit. And then we got some basic troubleshooting stuff down here. Like I was saying earlier, no sound is typically because it's shorted out. If you have a hum, that means there's something that's not connected. So anyways, yeah, be sure to read through that very carefully. Check our website. Obviously, you're watching this video, which is a huge plus. So, and obviously, if you have any questions, or hit us up at info@madhatterguitarproducts.com, and we try to pride ourselves on good customer service. So I'm going to take our instructions. I'm going to set them over here, so that way I can follow them in wiring. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up the ground wires, okay? So I'm going to start with the switch. So even though we have our cavity shielded, and even on like Telecaster steel plates, I still like to intertwine the ground wires. Like on the Telecaster and a Jazzmaster, where they have the steel plate, they won't do that because they figure you got the pot attached to the steel plates, so they're all grounded, and they are when you get them tight. But you know, pots come loose sometimes, and I think that can create a problem with grounding. So I like to do is just daisy chain it. So I'm going to start with this one here. I'm going to leave plenty of slack, because when we go inside, even though we marked out these holes and we got these laid out pretty much where they are, I want to leave a little bit of slack just so we have to do some readjustments, move the pots up and down, we'll be able to. So I'm going to take it right there, kind of put my finger there. I'm going to cut that wire. And strip it back about 1/4 of an inch. Twist the ends. This end here is already stripped, so I'm going to put this one in there. I'm going to put that one in there as well. There we go. Got them sitting in there. Looks like they're in there pretty good. So I'm going to remember, I'm not going to push. I'm just going to twist. I'm going to grab hold of the pot and hold it. All right. I'm going to gently pull on the wires. Yeah, I think we're good there. I'm going to take this one to here. Once again, I'm leaving plenty of slack, as you can see there. Cut it off. Strip it back, 1/8 of an inch. Grab, I need more black wire. I should have it with the kit. Let me grab some more. Now your system will ship with pieces of black wire about this long. And if you look at the schematics here, this system here would ship with 1, 2, 3 pieces of black wire. And you'll see here, we're going to have to cut it and do little jumpers here. But since I just have it on a spool, I'm just going to do it that way. So I'm going to strip that back. Oh, geez. There we go. Good. It's a little short. Taking a little bit off of that. That looks better. About 1/8 of an inch. Put this wire in here. And it's nice when you have a little bit of extra like that. When you have extra wire, see how it's kind of curved? What it does is it kind of the wire wants to expand out. So when you push it into the terminal, it's actually going to hold there because of the curve. The nature, the wire just wants to bend. So I just kind of put that in there, put that wire in, and I'm going to tighten it up. Now we're probably going to add more to this, but for right now I'm just going to tighten it up just a little snug. Not going to get too crazy. And then I'm going to come here. Once again, I'm going to use the same thing. I'm going to try to come down like this, kind of curve it over. I'm going to cut it. Strip the ends of the wire. Strip this one. All right. Once again, we're going to try to do the same thing where let's make sure these are all opened up. Just going to back them all out until I feel and hear the click. All right, I'm going to take this wire. Oh, the end of it kind of got bent down, so I'm going to twist it together a little bit, the ends, and slide it in there. There we go. All right, once again, the wire wants to push itself into the terminal because it wants to just try to straighten itself out, which is what we want. Now, with this system, we'll notice we have a little jumper from the ground to the red terminal. We're kind of following similar to what would be the Gibson type style wiring, which in a way it doesn't really make it too much of a difference, but we're going to do it that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a black wire from the black terminal over to the middle red one there. So with that one, I'm just going to cut a short piece of wire. Let's take about, maybe about that long, probably about 1 inch. Cut it. Strip the end of it. twist the end. Now it's kind of important that we twist the end on this one. The reason why is because when we bend this, because we're going to bend it into a U, when we do that, if you just left it before, the wires are going to want to, the wires in here, if you didn't twist it and you bend it, they'll want to just spread out. There, I just bent down. There we go. So we're trying to get it to where, see, it's kind of equal. If you can see that or not. It's kind of equal like distance. So let's see, yeah, that's still not tightened up yet. So then I'm going to take it. It's going to be a little tricky. See, I'm kind of too close together, so I'm going to spread them out a little bit more because I want to go from the black to that far red one. So I got that one in there. Well, this is where it kind of takes patience on ones like these. All right, got it in there. I'm gonna kind of push it in gently. I push this one in, push them both in. Now I'm gonna tighten it up. I don't know if you can see that or not. Oops, knocked it out. Now look at what happened here. See, there's a little stray wire there. You see that? Right underneath that. So I'm gonna take that back out and fix that. You can see that wire got messed up. So what would happen, that's where you have to be careful, because if that happens, you don't want it to go in like that, because that wire could go over to the next wire in the next terminal and short it out. So that's where you have to be very careful. So let's try this again. Now another way to do this, needle nose pliers. Now this is kind of a way to do it too. If your hands are a little too big, or just take some needle nose pliers and just kind of carefully. Hey, there we go. All right, that looks good. Oops, hit my head on that. Sorry about that, folks. Let's get that. How's that? All right. Then we're going to gently tighten them up. So let's, I'm going to tighten this one up slightly. Just going to snug these. I'm not going to tighten them up too tight yet, because we're going to still, just so we can hold them in place. That's it. Matter of fact, I shouldn't even tighten that one up, because we're going to go from that one over to here. So strip another piece of wire. Sorry about that, folks. How's that? Is that better? So let's see if I go like this. Yeah, I think about like that. So we go in like that, and they'll kind of push against each other. So I'm going to cut this one. Strip it back. I'm an old school guy. I like my old school wire dikes. I like those. You may have a different type of style that you like. You know, use what's comfortable for you. Put that in there. Yep, see, they're kind of, it's kind of pushing against itself, and it holds itself in the terminal. So I want to tighten this one up. Once again, just snug, just in case we, oh, you can see that or not. I'm just kind of holding the wire in place while I tighten it up. There we go. I'm not going to tighten this one up, because we're going to do another jumper over here with this one. Once again, I'm going to cut a wire that's probably about 1 inch long. Strip this end. Strip this end here. There we go. Now when you use wire strippers, I don't know if, let me demonstrate this a little bit. This is something that maybe I should have talked about before. When you strip a wire, if you strip it down, you kind of feel it when you're pushing, when you're closing on, clamping down. you'll feel a point where it kind of like, it's kind of stiff, and all of a sudden it feels lighter. That's when you stop. And you kind of ease off, and then you pull. And that's how you strip a wire. If you keep that downward pressure, you're going to do what they call dragging. And you're going to drag across the wire, and then you end up with just a couple little threads. I don't know if you see it, I'm sorry. You end up with just a couple of threads there. So you see how I just kind of, I don't know if you saw any of that, but let me start over again here. So you take the wire cutters, you push down, push, and then you'll feel it just where, oh, okay, it got real easy. That's when you stop. Then you take release the pressure, and you pull, and that's when you get a good strip. That looks really good. Like I said before, if you push down, and you pull, and you still have that force on, that's what they call dragging. And when you do that, you're ripping off parts of the wire, so it's not going to hang on there as well. And actually, these are going to be compromised. I could probably just take it like that, and those wires will probably snap off there. Actually, this is really good wire, so it's holding really good. That's what we use on all our systems, and we like it because it's a great wire, and this is 24 gauge, and it's perfect for this. So, anyways, here's my little short piece I cut. I'm going to twist the ends. Bend it. All right. And make sure these terminals here are backed out. Dead terminal there. So we'll probably be using that one. All right. So now I'm going to put this one into the ground. Like it shows here, from the ground into the red wire there. Now you see how this one shows it going this way. It doesn't really matter how you run the grounds. The main thing is, I mean, you can go from here to here to here to here. You can go, you can go from here to there, back and forth. It doesn't matter at all. The main thing is that there's continuity. Everyone's daisy chained together. That's the main thing. So you can place this ground wire coming off the jack on this pot, or this black lug, or this black lug over here. The main thing is they're all intertwined, they're all interconnected, and so some systems where they have minimal ground connections, some of the schematics will show like the pickup wire going here. And sorry about that, I had a little interruption, but what I was saying was some of the schematics, or some of the systems, like where we have minimal contacts, here we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 black lugs, but we also have this jumper going over the center turtle. So really, here we have 6 points where we can tie ground wires into. Now some of the ones, like the single volume systems, where we'll show everything coming to one, and it'll get kind of tied up. Well, if that's the case, jumper over to one of the dead lugs, because in a way, you can use them too. So you just place a jumper over, and now you can get 2 more wires in there, depending on what size. So if you really look at it on this schematic here, we have each one of the black lugs, ground lugs, is already connected to ground, so that's 4. And then we have these 2 jumpers here going over the center list, so that's 6. And then if you look at every one of the dead lugs, that's, well, in this one here, we're going to need one later for the output jack. So in a way, we have 3 more points we can use for landing ground terminals. All we would do is just place a little jumper wire from that terminal over one of the black terminals over to that dead terminal, and now that's a ground terminal. So, just place them where. The main thing is that you get the grounds landed where you need to get them grounded, and just kind of spread them out. If you got one wire, pick up some of those pickup shields like we've seen can be pretty heavy duty. Some of the ground wires coming out of the guitars can be pretty heavy, so just kind of minimize this, spread them out and minimize it. Another thing with the bridge ground, I know like some of the Gibson Les Pauls have a really thick, heavy bob wire kind of thing. And since it's just a bridge ground, grab a little wire nut, and then some of the the black wire and just strip it off and just wire nut them together. Since it's a ground wire, it's not a signal wire, it doesn't be crucial, and it's not going to come off if it's a decent wire nut. And it's just, and like I said, on some of those Gibsons, those, I mean, they're almost like that thick. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and it's just impossible to get in these terminals. So we say we just strip it, get a little wire nut, put it in there, it'll be fine. I mean, I know of another manufacturer who makes preamps. They actually ship their systems, very well respected one. They ship their systems with wire nuts for their preamp that goes in the output jack area of a Strat. So you know, don't be scared about that. But yeah, we like all the signal wires to be connected to the terminals, but being a ground wire, especially for like a bridge ground, it's you know, it's going to be okay. It's going to be just fine. So let's go ahead and place this jumper now in here. So we look on our schematic, we want to place it right there. So let's go ahead and do that. I think I'm going to use my needle nose pliers again. I kind of like that. Kind of makes it easier. Let's see here. I'll push down on that a little bit. Let's see, I got it right there. Close them up a little bit. Yeah, I gotta twist these wires together a little bit better. I think what it is, I'm not getting the right angle on it. I'm trying to do it to where you guys can see it. Yeah. There we go. Although the other wire came out. See if I can get it back in there. Oh yeah, there we go. It's in there. Sometimes you get those ones that are a little tricky. All right, we're just gonna snug that up so it doesn't come out. Like I said, once again, I'm just gonna spin. Just spinning, not pushing. You don't want to push. Sometimes you might want to just hold on to this. Hold on to that. Oh, got the blue terminal there. Red terminal. There we go. I'm just gonna I'm kind of looking at it visually at the terminals here. Just kind of making sure there's like nothing sticking out, no stray wires, especially on this one here. Since I had a little bit of a difficulty getting in there. That looks all right, looks good. All right. So let's go to the next part of our schematic here. What do we want to do next? So we got all our grounds. Now what we have is we have these, we have little jumpers here, these little red jumpers here. So you know what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put these the blue and the red wires here. If you notice on this system, the 4-2 system, we have, coming out the push-pull pot, we have a red wire and a blue wire. And red wire conveniently goes to the 500K lug, red lug, and the blue wire goes to the 250K lug, blue lug. So blue wire, blue lug. So we're gonna do now. Sometimes what people, just so you know, sometimes what people do is we want to know which one is the bridge and neck. So we know on this system, this is the neck. So some people will write on here N. And these will be the bridge. So it's bridge volume, bridge neck. Just sometimes you might want to do that before we get started. We got a little ways down the road here. But you might want to do that just so you don't get confused as to which is which, especially when you're looking at the schematic, because the schematic is going to be different than what's here. And if you can look at it here, it's going to be different than what's on here. And in this case, yeah, this one actually, it does line up on this one. So if you look at here, this is the bridge pickup going here to to the bridge volume. So in this case, it does line up, but on your guitar, it may not. So sometimes it's easier just to indicate it here. The N was for the neck and B for bridge. And you may want to go, you know, just a little helpful hint there, you know, to help it out a little bit. So let's hook up these wires here. I'm going to put these, you know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to feed these under here just to get them. Yeah, I kind of like that better. Kind of gets them out of the way. Kind of makes more sense like that. So I'm going to start with the blue terminal, the blue wire to the blue terminal. Kind of get it over there. Kind of, once again, I'm leaving quite a bit of slack there. Cutting it. Strip it. Come on, there we go. About 1/8 of an inch. And I pushed too hard and cut right through it. That happens sometimes. All right. Yeah, these strippers have no stop on them. They just, when you cut all the way through, you're all the way through it. So. I started out as a machine tool electrician back in Detroit as a youngster, a couple decades, many decades. I'm going to say how long ago that was. Too long ago. So let's get the blue wires, tighten it up. But anyways, I started, this is what we used for strippers back then. They always, you know, this is what we, because they were cheap. As a matter of fact, there was a old electrical supply store in Detroit area called McNaught and McKay, and they used to just throw in like, you know, dozens of these when you picked up your stuff for wiring panels, electrical motor control panels. And so I used to wire these panels up, and then I started doing engineering, you know, motor control, signal routing, and which really kind of got me going on this, because this is really more than anything signal routing. So put the red wire in the red terminal. There we go. Tighten that up. Once again, I left a nice little slack there, and see that wire is just wanting to, you know, fling out, so it's pushing into that terminal. It just doesn't want to go anywhere. We're going to go ahead and we're going to tighten these up, because we're not going to put anything else on these. So I'm going to tighten these up good. See, I'm holding my index finger and thumb on the terminal, hold it in place, and then I give them a good torque down with the little ass screwdriver. Now let's take this red wire we just cut off, and we're going to place it in between these two terminals here. And this is going to be a little tricky because that's a tight fit there. So I'm going to strip it first. Kind of bend it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Cut it here. Strip this end. There we go. Yeah, it looks good. Maybe a little too long, but I think that'll be all right. And then carefully put them in there. There they go. Fit right in there. Once again, I'm going to snug these up, because we are going to have a switch wire from over here is going to come and attach to one of these lugs. So I'm just going to snug them. All right. Snug that a little tighter. Since I'm putting that jumper in, I'm going to put the one in over here too. Might as well. While I'm going down that road. Bend it over. Kind of made that one a little too long for sure. Yeah, I stripped that one back. I'm going to cut it back a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, it looks a little better. All right. Let's put this one in there. Yeah, there we go. you know, you just kind of bend it to where it's the distance between the ends is the same distance between like the center of the screws. Tighten that up. Not too tight. Hope you can see there. Okay. Apologize if my hands get in the way. So, and now once again, I'm going to shove these underneath. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to just shove them underneath because I think it'd be better. There we go. Try to straighten these wires out a little bit. I'm going to come up and I'm going to go like that. So, kind of like that. I'm going to cut them both together at the same time. Boom. Start with the blue wire. Alright. Put it into the blue terminal. There we go. When you go into the terminal, it's like over here I was having a problem with that one if you remember. And I think the reason why is because the terminal, if you look at the hole, say the hole's there, okay? So when if you get the wire and you're kind of pushing it like that, or you're going like this on an angle, it's just not going to go in. So you want to make sure you try to get it at a 90-degree angle with the opening for the terminal. All right. Let's put the red one in. So you kind of got to judge the angle that's coming in. That looks really good right there. See, and you just got to come straight in and tighten it up. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. So what do we have? We have all our grounds. We have our red and blue wires coming to our volume pots from our push-pull pots. Okay, we have our little jumpers here. Okay, so now let's wire the switch up. Let's do that. So now the switch, if you look here, we got the red wires soldered here, okay? So if the switch is in the direction of where the red wire is attached, okay, that means the green wire and the red wire are making continuity. Go that way, now it's the red wire and the white wire. So, but just in case I'm wrong, which I have been before, I'm going to leave these long enough so if we have to swap them around, we can. But, or we can always just take it off and twist it 190. So we want to make sure we have enough slack to either, 180, twist this 180, or switch the wires here. But since this control cavity is pretty deep and kind of hard to deal with, we really don't want to try, we want to try to get all the wiring done as much as possible before we mount it into the cavity, because it looks like the cavity is so tight that making changes are just going to be a pain. So we said this is the bridge, so we're going to connect this one over here. And we're just going to, if you look at the schematic here, green is going to get connect. You can use either one of these terminals, the red terminal or the blue terminal. It doesn't really matter because they're jumpered together. So whatever's more convenient. So I'm just going to pull it there, cut. Now you can leave these the length if you want. You don't have to cut them because we stripped the ends. So you can take this if you wanted to and come around and just plug it in with the ends stripped. I like this to cut it back a little bit, personally, because it just makes it a little bit easier. It makes it look a little neater. So let's loosen up the blue one. All right. Now, it's not going in too easy. So sometimes, see how I just push down on that? Because when you loosen up the terminal, sometimes this wire that's already in there will basically come up with it. and be kind of stuck to the top of the terminal, and it's kind of hard to get a wire in there. So, I don't know if you can see that, hoping my finger's not in the way. I kind of push down on this, and then I'll push down on that red wire with this screwdriver, and just, oh, twist this together a little bit better. See how it's starting to fray when I was pushing it in. Get it on an angle that's, see, now the angle's right. Maybe I need to back it out a little bit more. There we go. There we go. Get it in there. So the switch is connected to the bridge volume pot. You know what? I don't think we're going to put anything more on here. So I'm going to hold it with my index finger and my thumb, and I'm going to go through each one of these terminals and just kind of put a little bit of torque on them. See that one there, a little more turns on it. There we go. Now I'm going to take this time and just kind of pull on these a little bit. Actually, I can't get my fingers in there, it's too tight. I'm just going to grab the needle nose pliers, just kind of pull, just gently, because if you pull hard enough, yeah, you're going to pull them out. But, yeah, they're all in there good. Tighten it up a little bit more, just give them a little snug. Let's make sure. I think we're good on that one. So we're not going to do anything more with this pot. I think we're all done. Because on this system here, the pickup's actually wired to the push-pull pot. Now, if this is our dual volume, dual tone 3T system with a three-way toggle, they would wire to the volume pot. But in this system, they don't. So let's bring the white wire. You know, with this one here, I'm going to also push it underneath like I did with the red and blue wire, just to kind of get it out of the way, just to hold it up. There we go. Leaving a lot of slack. Cut it off there. Actually, I probably didn't even need to cut that one. It was, that's all right. All right. Twist that. We're going to loosen up one of these lugs. I'm going to do the red one just because it's the one I grabbed. Yeah, that one went right in. Okay, once again, I want to grab with my thumb and index, and I'm just going to tighten up all the terminals. I'm probably not going to put any more, I'm not going to touch these again probably. So I'm going to get my, those pliers and just kind of pull gently. Yep, everything looks good. Give them one last snug there. All right. So then the red, we're just going to go, I'm just going to go over, we're going to use this, see the red wire from the switch is going to go to the output jack. And we're using this dead terminal here on the push-pull pot. So we're just going to take it over. On this one it shows using the neck one, but you know what? I'm going to use the bridge one, so I think it's going to be easier to work with. So we're going to take it like that. Cut it back, strip it. Just snug it in there, because we're going to be adding more to these. So I think we've got everything wired up. So we have the switch wired up. We know the volume pot's wired up. So now we have to do is wire the pickups to the push-pull tone pots and put in the caps. So we'll put in the caps the same time we put in the wire in the pickups to make it a little bit easier. So, all right. So let's move everything out of the way. Let's bring the guitar back.